call, and the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the show. Arkansas basketball is back at it tonight, the penultimate game of the regular season, and it's a big one. And I say they're back at it tonight, and I really mean tonight. At Vanderbilt, 9 p.m. Central Time. That is not a typo. You didn't misread it. You didn't mishear it. 9 p.m. on SEC Network. That is insane. I've never seen that, I don't think, outside of like a late window of the NCAA tournament, especially in this time zone. You know, it's just it's kind of wild to think about. But you know what? I love it. I really do. Why? Because from everything we've been told about this basketball team this season and everything we've seen, the later Arkansas plays, the better it appears, at least. And the later Arkansas plays, honestly, the more rested it will be for this game, because there's a difference in this and the last one, right? Late night, Wednesday night, overtime game against Texas. You practice a little bit or whatever on Thursday, travel Friday, you play early Saturday. You get out of bed, you play Saturday at South Carolina. This, you have almost a full day of extra rest built in here, because the Hogs did play early on Saturday. If there's one thing that came good out of that debacle in South Carolina, you played early, you got back home, you get Sunday and Monday off, or Sunday off, Monday you practice, easy flight over to Nashville, and now you don't play until late on Tuesday. That matters for those heavy legs. I really think it does. Now, this game is being played at Memorial Gymnasium in Vanderbilt, which, man, it's been rejuvenated and re-energized. I got to admit, this season at Vanderbilt under first-year head coach Mark Byington, he's doing a great job. But I think before we talk about that, maybe let's talk about the potential for Arkansas to get rejuvenated and re-energized, because that feels more important, doesn't it? I mean, it does not matter who or when Arkansas plays if they don't make just a complete 180 turnaround from what we saw on Saturday. That is not going to get it done against anybody. And that's not breaking news or expert analysis. I don't think anybody can figure that out. It is really hard, I think, to have watched that disaster and feel optimistic that the Hogs are just going to flip the script a couple days later. But here's my best attempt at making you and maybe myself a little bit of a believer. Because what I will say about this team, as frustrating as they've been at times and as much of a roller coaster ride as this has been, it has been a roller coaster ride. Every down, it's kind of been followed by an up. Every time, without exception, so far, that this team has been written off this season, they've responded by making everybody look like idiots. As soon as you get to the point where you're done with them, they reel you back in. That's one thing that this group has been great about. I mean, think about it. It's the whole year. I mean, they struggled with all their high majors in non-conference. Think about that. Baylor, tough one. Illinois, didn't look good. Miami, can you even call them a high major at this point? But you struggled to a win against one of the worst power conference teams in the country. And then you go out there and pop Michigan at Madison Square Garden. Nobody expected them to do that. We made so much of that 0-5 start to SEC play. And after that fifth game, you lose Boogie Fland. And then you beat Georgia 2 days later. When, at the time we were all thinking, good Lord, like, are these guys going to go 0-18 in the league? And then they slip up with that super frustrating home loss to OU. They had chances there at the end, couldn't get it done. It made you feel like the Georgia game was like a one-off, Well, what did they do? Right after that, they go on the road and they smack Kentucky and Texas back to back. It's crazy. I mean, it keeps going from there. I mean, they had that heartbreaking stretch where they're so close, 3 top 10 games that they couldn't finish. How close were they against Alabama? You think about the missed opportunities at Texas A&M. Had number 1 Auburn on the ropes. You lose all those games, then we were talking about it. We felt like kind of a massive letdown spot was looming there. And then they beat a Missouri team that had blown them out a month prior. A lot of resiliency. Then you lose a dude Thero, and you're down to 7 players. What do? You beat Texas in a critical overtime game. Over and over and over again, we've seen this team show resiliency. They are unbelievably inconsistent and irritating, but they're never dead. I really don't think you can count them out. I imagine, and I really do believe this, whether it's tonight or Saturday, they're going to kind of rise up like the Undertaker and do it again. I mean, why would we expect anything different at this point, unless they really are just completely out of gas. What's the formula here for this one? Like urgency, intensity, not having every player on your roster no-show. I mean, it seems pretty simple to me. Nobody played well at South Carolina, not a single guy. Yeah, obviously you can't have that. I mean, Cal talks all the time about how you got to get something out of everybody. You can't get nothing out of everybody. Like, let's find some middle ground, bro. I mean, come on. It was nuts. I pulled up the Texas game and the South Carolina game, Arkansas's last two games, side by side on split screens. I just hit play. You would think that the Texas game was playing on double speed, like I accidentally hit fast forward or something. That is the difference in the intensity and the speed at which Arkansas was playing against Texas versus the way they were against South Carolina. It's staggering. I mean, if I didn't know any better, it would have been two different teams out there. Crazy. Like they had cement blocks attached to their legs at South Carolina. It's nuts. I encourage you to go do it. It'll freak you out. I didn't think it was real. Arkansas was 2 steps slow to everything defensively. They put zero pressure on South Carolina with what they were doing on the offensive end. Weren't getting downhill, slow, sluggish, soft, short on shots. I really, I've never seen misses as bad as what we did in that game. Airballed layups, airballed mid-range, missing corner threes by 4 feet, blown dunks. It was crazy. Nobody could get by their man off the bounce. Arkansas has never had a problem with that. Now you got a little extra time to get your legs back underneath you, something that Cal mentioned. And, in fairness, Vanderbilt played about 8 hours later in the day on Saturday, and they had a super physical, up-tempo, emotionally draining comeback overtime win over Missouri. So you think about some of the things we said about Arkansas here recently, after all these games, man, that they had to get up for. Like Cal said, they were kind of due for a dud. Now, this was an extreme dud, obviously. Vanderbilt's kind of in that same spot. Think about what they've done the last couple weeks to lock themselves into the NCAA tournament. They've done that now. They're going to be able to continue to get up for these games over and over and over. It gets everybody at some point. Maybe you catch them slipping a little bit. At least you hope you do. I mean, if you're a Razorback fan, you'll take anything you can get at this point. Because this is a massive quad 1 opportunity here for Arkansas on the road. It'd be a quad 1A where they could just erase all the damage that they did on Saturday. All of it could be gone, forgotten with a win tonight. How big of a game this is. Can you believe that? Where they were saying that about a Vanderbilt game? These dudes are good, though. Like we said, it's at Memorial Gymnasium. Place is weird. Right? It's the like the elevated floors and like the baseline benches. That the whole thing is just set up strange. Kind of takes you out of your comfort zone right from the jump there. And it's rocking in there at this point. I imagine it will be again. I know it's a super late game and a midweek, but I think it's their last home game of the regular season. Crowd's been good in there. But Vandy, like much like South Carolina, they're kind of a different animal in their own gym. Weird place. They get it done in there. They're 14-2 at home this season. Vanderbilt is. Their only losses are to Mississippi State early in SEC play and Auburn here recently in a game that they were up big for a minute. And I think they wound up losing by a dozen or so. But they pushed them. They beat Kentucky in there. They beat Tennessee in there. They beat Ole Miss in there. They beat Missouri in there. A lot of good wins for Vanderbilt. And this is not going to be it's not your typical game at Vanderbilt where I don't know about Cal, but like Arkansas has had weird struggles in there recently. They're good. They play close games and they've struggled at times to finish games off. Now they've been a little bit better here recently, but they're 20-9 on the year, 8-8 in league play. They're an NCAA tournament lock. They took care of business here lately and good on them. It's a program that has not been in this position very often here recently. I don't know about this matchup. That they play fast. They're a little chaotic. They're not great on the defensive end of the floor. And sometimes when you see teams that might struggle to guard straight up, man to man, they really mix things up. I think Vanderbilt does a good job of that. They'll press you. They'll throw some zone at you. They'll randomly double ball screens. They'll randomly throw a trap at you. They get a little chaotic. And that's because when they've impressed me the most, it's when they force turnovers and they get out in transition. Seriously. So Arkansas's got to be really aware of that, strong with the basketball. They've been good about turnovers so far this year for a majority of the year, but they have those games every now and then where they get super sloppy. Can't afford to do that. No live ball turnovers against this team. Offensively for Vanderbilt, they rank 6th in efficiency in SEC play. It's a strange team though. It really, like, nothing really jumps off the page at you, except they take care of it really well. They don't turn it over much. Like, they're 9th in the league in 3-point shooting. They're 10th in 2-point shooting. 15th in free throw rate. They don't get there often. 9th, so middle of the pack in offensive rebounding. It's like none of that really jumps out at you, but then you look at it for the full season, and Vanderbilt, they rank top 20 in the country offensively for the full season. It's interesting. Defensively, though, on the flip side, it's where you can get them. If you take care of the basketball, that's where you can get them. They rank dead last in the SEC in efficiency defensively in SEC play. Check this out. Opponents are quite literally shooting 40% from 3 against Vanderbilt in SEC games. 40%. And so that kind of raises your eyes a little bit. But at the same time, that's only a little bit higher or a little bit worse, I guess, than the South Carolina team that you couldn't make a damn shot against. Arkansas will get open looks. Can they knock down open looks, or are we going to do the same thing? We're hear from Cal after the game about all the open shots. You can miss some shots. You can't miss all of them. Please make some shots, man. You're going to get good looks against this team. Team is shooting 56.2% inside the arc against Vanderbilt. They don't have a lot of rim protection there. They got some big bodies, some strong bodies, physicality, but they don't have a lot of rim protection. And they also foul at a high rate. So, I mean, honestly, this team looks on paper like they should be about 17 or 12 or something, like Arkansas. But they make winning plays. And you'll see that they're super well coached. They're incredibly tough. They're together, great chemistry, and they're strong-willed. It's an impressive group. They are absolutely maximizing their talent over there. It's impressive. Got to give them credit where it's due. And I hope Arkansas kicks their butt tonight, but, personnel-wise, they do not have a player on the roster taller than 6'8", or in the rotation at least, which is good, but I'm not going to lie, I'm a little concerned about their front court. Why? You guys remember when Arkansas played Oakland? They wound up winning that game by like 30. But think back to that Oakland game for a minute and what they did to Arkansas with those 2 bowling balls that they had in the post. A couple guys that look like NFL defensive ends, 6'6", 6'7", 240 to 250 pounds, just strong, physical, semi below the rim kind of dudes. And they just destroyed Arkansas. Jonas got worked over in that game. Everybody that they turned to really struggled with that type of toughness and physicality in there. Exact same situation here with Vanderbilt. Exact same. Devin McLaughlin, starting center, 6'7", 240 pounds, strong as an ox, and he can move. Jalen Carey, the other big guy in the rotation, 6'8", 265. I mean, these dudes are space eaters. They're body movers. They're physical players who can run the floor. I mean, honestly, there's no excuse really for, like Big Z, for example, to be able to have a huge game with his length. He's going to be 6 inches, 7 inches taller than anybody out there. But if he's going to play kind of soft like he did against Columbia, it's going to be a long night. I'll also say this about that height advantage. There should not be a single catch from Big Z on the perimeter where he can't get his shot up comfortably. So keep that in mind too. It sucks. It really sucks. This would be an absolutely perfect matchup for a Duthero. With the way these guys play, sometimes you got to go off script, hit a man, he gets to the bucket. I think Thero would feast. Well, he ain't playing. He's out. It sucks. But it is what it is. So Trevin Brazil needs to get out of his feelings from Saturday and be a 6'10" dude with elite length and athleticism who plays above the rim against a below the rim team. So he's got to bounce back. Stinks about Thero, man. So, okay. Let's think about this. Which Vanderbilt player is going to go for 35 against Arkansas tonight? Because that's just a thing now, right? Trey Johnson went nuts for Texas. Colin Murray Boyles goes nuts for South Carolina. I guess, the other team's best player is going to go for 30 plus now. I only halfway say that in jest, but you need to step up and shut down a star player, please. Eric Musselman had such an emphasis on that you're just not used to seeing guys get off like this on you. And it's been happening too much here recently. They got to step up. But point being, as we talk about some personnel stuff, the betting favorite here would be junior guard Jason Edwards. Good player. Little man, about Boogie Flan size, 6'1", 175, but he is electric. Really, really tough to keep in front off the bounce. He's a tough shot maker. He's made some circus shots when I watch him play. That'll really tick you off where you play great defense and the dude just makes a ridiculous shot and you just kind of throw your hands up like, what do you want me to do? He's good for some of that. Crafty finisher in the paint, good 3-point shooter off the bounce in particular. I think he's about 36% from 3 on the year. So he's one to keep an eye on. AJ Hogard, Michigan State transfer. You guys remember him? Arkansas was slightly in on him during portal season, but he's kind of their version of DJ Wagner. A little bit shorter, maybe, but a physical lead guard, downhill driver, tough defender, streaky shooter and scorer, but he's a really solid table setter for him. He's got like 130 assists almost. When he's rolling offensively as a scorer, they're a really tough cover. And it's kind of similar to Arkansas with DJ, in fairness. Tyler Nickel, another name to know, 2-time ACC transfers. What was it? Virginia Tech and North Carolina, I think. 6'7" wing. He has one job, and it's to hoist it from 3. He lets that thing fly, and he's one of those Kentucky type of guys who, like, he doesn't need any airspace whatsoever on those catch and shoots, and he does nothing else. 174 out of his 228 shot attempts, threes. And they go about 9 deep. They do about 9 deep with guys who play legit minutes. So they're going to have a couple extra bodies, comparatively speaking, to Arkansas. A couple guys who are big game capable too. MJ Collins in the backcourt / wing. They've got a good freshman, Tyler Tanner, in the backcourt. Chris Mannon, he's 6'5". He kind of plays a 3 for him. He's like a defensive specialist, glue guy. Probably going to get on your nerves with the way that he plays in there. They're a good team. Not overly talented, ridiculously talented by any means, but the pieces fit well considering the late roster build. Undersized, scrappy, and like we said, they're maximizing their potential. There is a reason that they've got 20 wins here at this stage in the season, a really good SEC. But for Arkansas, again, snap out of it, burn the tape, whatever. Get back to business. Arkansas's got to get its swagger back because it was really rolling there for a minute. This team was tough as nails. They were believing, and whatever the heck happened on Saturday, I mean, I don't have a better answer than what John Calipari had, which just forget it. Just flush it and move on. You can't lament on it. So, okay. I think it starts with the Razorbacks needing to get back to defending at a top 20 level in the half court. It's going to be key. Can't allow Vanderbilt to get you too spread out defensively with the way that they attack. Be really solid in your half-court defense again. Limit those turnovers so they don't get out in transition on you, the live ball turnovers. Take advantage of your length and athleticism. Even without Thero, Arkansas still got that advantage. Take advantage of it at the rim or above it, preferably, on the backboards, right? And then let's not bury the lead here. Make a freaking shot. 3 baskets they made in the first half of that game. For their first 17 from 3 on Saturday. That's crazy. You can have off shooting nights. That's one thing. And then there's whatever that was. So I'm calling out. Last time I issued a challenge, Trevor Brazile played his best game of the season. I'm issuing 3 challenges in this game. DJ Wagner, John L. Davis, Big Z. Nobody played well against the Gamecocks, but these 3 guys, in my opinion, have just been too important the past month to pull some crap like they did over the weekend. Can't happen. They got to be locked in. Everybody else is important. You want to see Carter ball out. You want to see, Billy. You need Trevin. You need Jonah. You need all those guys. You got to get something from all of them. But the way I see it, DJ Wagner is your tone setter. He's the head of the snake, literally, offensively and defensively at the lead guard position. Nelly Davis, this is your Final Four experienced guard. You go out there and have a performance like that? No, not again. And then Big Z's been your best player the last several weeks. That trio gets it right. Arkansas is going to be okay in this game. I expect a bounce back, I think, from Arkansas. A better showing for sure. more intensity, more urgency. They're going to look more like the team that we saw throughout the course of February. I do hate the matchup, though. Arkansas is about a 7-point underdog last time I looked. Vanderbilt's just a little deeper. They spread it out to 9 guys. They play up tempo. They pressure you. It's hard to say what our version of Arkansas you're going to get. But if I had to guess, I'd say that we see some serious signs of life throughout the first 30 minutes of the game or so. And then maybe, a really good Vanderbilt team kind of pulls away down the stretch. Please prove me wrong. I would love to be wrong. My thought right now is that Arkansas gets back in the win column at home on Saturday against Mississippi State. They get that extra day of rest, home crowd on a Saturday in Fayetteville, slower paced team, grind out a big dub. I like the idea of that more. But man, if they get this one against Vanderbilt, imagine if they're able to pull that off, and then you're basically playing a win and you're in for sure game on Saturday at Bud. That'd be sick. That's what I want to happen, right? That atmosphere would be insane. At any rate, we're going to wrap it up. But before we get out of here, I do want to make an adjustment to something I said yesterday on our bubble hate watch list for tonight. Folks, I can't believe I'm saying this. We're rooting for Mike White. We really are. We're all Georgia fans, I think. I had him on our bubble hate watch list, but the more I think about it, I think that's actually a bad idea. I think you need to be rooting for him. Sure, if they lose at South Carolina and Arkansas wins at Vanderbilt, they'll pass them in the pecking order, which is a good thing. So maybe you can't go wrong either way. However, Georgia, after what did they do? They beat Florida and they blew out Texas in Austin last week. In doing that, they've moved all the way up to 33rd in the net rankings, which means they are 3 spots away from Arkansas's win over them in January, moving up to a quad 1. Theoretically, you could pick up another quad 1 win without having to play a game if you're Arkansas. That would be a game changer, folks. A game changer. That would move Arkansas up from 4 to 5 quad 1 wins. You got 2 more opportunities this week against Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. Plus, you're going to get at least one in the SEC tournament. Guys, if Arkansas gets to 6 quad 1 wins with no blemishes outside the first 2 quadrants, which there are no opportunities for them to pick up a Q3 or a Q4, there's no way in hell they get left out of the NCAA tournament. They just won't. If they get to 6 or more quad 1 wins, they are in. Other teams with 6 quadrant 1 wins, not more than 6, but 6 on the dot. I'm going to read them out to you. Duke, Florida, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Maryland, Missouri, Wisconsin, Texas A&M, UCLA, Memphis. All stone cold blood bank locks. And we're really talking about teams with 1 or no quad 1 wins getting in this tournament? No. Get your head out of the spreadsheets, people, with these metrics. The results matter. And if Arkansas's got a half dozen of these suckers and we're talking about other teams with 0 or 1 or 2, there won't be a conversation to be had. Arkansas will be in, and they'll be in safely. And they can sneak one if Georgia takes care of business. They're at South Carolina. It ain't gonna be easy for them. They could easily go in there and get popped just like Texas and Arkansas did. But I hope they get it done. I really do. Because they went out this week. They're going to be in that top 30. That moves up to a Q1. All of a sudden, you look around at the changes that's going to make to your team sheet, and people are going to be looking at Arkansas a heck of a lot differently. They still need to handle their business and at minimum split this week. But you can sneak one of them Q1 wins in there. But it's like a backdoor cover. It ain't nothing better. So keep an eye on it. Just want to let everybody know that. And by the way, Duke taking care of business against Fake Forest Monday night. Shocker. I guess we'll continue to talk about them, huh? I'm not. I'm over it. I'm out of here. Hey, we are doing a watch party. Yeah, that's right. We're doing it. Hey, we have decided that the common theme for Arkansas is playing these early games. It's not the watch party. We're not the Jinx. We're not accepting that. Come hang out with us tonight. It's a good time. We just kind of watch along the game. You know, we got some commentary, some breakdowns, reacting with each other, getting into the chat. It's a good time. It's a late night. You ain't got nothing to do. Put the kids to sleep, grab a beer, come hang out with us. It'll be fun. We'll do the post-game show afterwards as well. It might be at like 1 a.m. I don't know. We'll see when this game ends. If there's a bunch of, delays getting started and, video reviews, monitor reviews at the end of the game, my goodness, it'll literally be midnight central before the game's even over. It's all right. It's March. It's what you do. But I'm out of here. We'll see you guys tonight, man. Everybody have a good one. Enjoy the game. Hope you come enjoy it with us. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pod at the Palace. We'll catch you later.